Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Last episode, we talked about when you are taking on a new role or a new job, which happens quite a bit at the beginning of the year. I outlined some simple, I would say, strategies to protect yourself and protect your time as you take on a new position. That is only part of the equation. The second part, and I almost want to say being successful in a new job with a bigger scope, maybe a C-suite position now, it also requires an identity shift. You have to think differently about who you are. Now, I have a client, for example, who is in a very senior leadership position, but she still feels that she is being treated like a very junior employee, almost a little girl at times. And so what we're working on is stepping into that identity, that self-concept of who she is in that position, how she shows up, what she does, and specifically what she believes about herself. And that is what we're going to talk about today, because what you believe about yourself is reflected and communicated to those around you, even if you don't know it or you're not consciously doing it. So today, the objective is to bring some awareness into beliefs that you could have about yourself. And I'm going to propose some beliefs about how I would love for you to take on a new job, what you are thinking about yourself and your abilities in a very senior position. And the reason why also we are talking about this, it is super important. One, because behavior always follows self-concept or self-identity. Okay, those are two words that I'm going to use interchangeably: self-concept, self-identity. In a new role, most leaders try to change what they do before they change how they see themselves. So yes, there are definitely things that you can do, and that is important. And I talked about that last week, but it'll only get you so far. It works briefly and it's temporary. So what I want you to do is change that internal, I would say, dialogue, the background music, that internal reference point. It's that identity lens through which you, as a very senior leader, are going to make decisions. It's what you step into. It is what you tolerate. It's what you take responsibility for and what you say no to. And until that internal work of your self-concept has been done, then behavior change isn't constant and sustainable and consistent, I would say. The second reason why today's topic is super important is because in most senior roles, and believe me, I've been working with a lot of people taking on new roles over the past, I would say 18 months, a new role requires judgment. It requires decision-making, not more effort. At a senior level, performance and impact, efficacy, all of that, it's not about what you output. It's about how you make decisions, how quickly you make decisions, how you frame those decisions, and how you implement those decisions. So If you are still being relied upon as the reliable problem solver or the person who always steps in or the one who keeps things moving, you are going to start working very, very hard. And I don't want it to be about effort because that is going to undermine your authority. I want you to think about the identity shift. And it's regarding direction and priorities and decision. And the third reason why this is so important is because those around you are going to respond to you depending on who you believe you are. Your teams, your peers, your senior leadership, your stakeholders, they're not responding to you just by what you are saying. They're also responding to you when you hesitate, if you're over involved in something, if you avoid something. That's what they respond to. They see your energy. And so your identity is showing up before what you say and what you do. And that's why I really want you to believe and see the value of working on your internal identity, because it is going to help you make decisions, communicate those decisions faster, decide on your boundaries, have other people accept those boundaries, and your confidence is just going to spread and shine without explanation. So I want to take you through some specific identity shifts, and I have put together a handout, or I would say it's a resource that takes you through a lot more than just the few that we're going to do today. So I will put the link in the show notes for you to download that. It will go into a lot more depth with regards to the few examples that I'm going to give you now. So please go and download that as we speak. So the first thing is, this is a belief that I've seen with my clients that I work with on a daily basis. They go into a new job, and so maybe this is you, thinking, I need to prove that they made the right decision or they made the right call in hiring me. Okay, so you're going into your new job thinking, I need to prove that they made the right decision. Is that you? Have you thought that as you took on a new job? I would like to challenge it and help you shift a belief to, I was hired because I know how to think at this level. Can you see the difference? You go from I need to prove myself to I was hired because I know how to think at this level. And when you change that belief, it changes so many things. In a meeting, for example, you're not going to talk just to fill space. You're going to be able to listen longer. You're not jumping in constantly to prove your value. It's going to change your email behavior. You're not going to send a lot of emails explaining things. You're going to instead be sending emails that communicate either clarity, that you've clarified direction, that you're going to be signaling what matters and what doesn't. And also, when you think that, and you deeply believe that you are hired because you know how to think at this level, what you're not going to be responding to are requests and people who constantly need reassurance, for example. And with your team, they are going to see you as calm and grounded, and your confidence, when you believe that you were hired because they knew you could do the job, that creates psychological safety. Not because you have to reassure your team, but because they feel that you are steady and grounded. So there's a second belief, and maybe this is you. I have clients tell me all the time, I need to stay on top of the work. I need to be in the details, or I won't either trust the outcome, understand what's going on. I would like to challenge that. I would like to challenge you. If you are thinking that you have to be close to the work, I would like you to think, I create strong outcomes by setting clear ownership and expectations. And this can change. It will change your meetings and your email and your team because you spend more time defining who owns what and who is responsible for what. Your team and people are going to stop copying you in emails just in case. Or if you are copied, you simply transfer the email. You don't have to step in. You don't have to constantly be following up with regards to updates because you have created ownership. People know where they stand. People on your team will feel trusted. They know what outcome is expected of them and what they own because you have communicated that. So you do not have to be in the details. And a third belief, just to give you another example here, I should show that I can still do the job. Yes, in many instances, at some point in time, you were promoted because you did your job well. But when you are taking on a very senior position, it's not because you've been doing your job well. It's usually because you've got the thinking skills, you know how to think big picture, you know how to influence people. And so in this case, a belief that I would like you to consider, instead of I should show how I can still do the job, it's my role is to create leverage through others. And when you do that, for example, you are going to give decision criteria, or you are going to ask for a recommendation, but you are not going to jump in and problem solve for everyone. Instead of giving instructions and jumping into problem solve, showing that you can still do the job, you are going to ask, what do you recommend? You stop drafting things maybe that you don't own. And for your team, they're going to feel stretched because you are asking them to solve the problems. You are helping them see that they have it in themselves to solve problems. And so I just want to give you a couple others. Just it gives you something to think about. And again, in the resource that I have provided, there are 20 beliefs that I see commonly and how I suggest changing them, shifting them, and even if you're not ready to shift them, just creating awareness that you could actually believe something different. That in itself is gold. So here are just some others. I need to be constantly available to be supportive. How many times have you thought that you have to be available to show that you are supporting your team? The number of people that I work with who feel totally overwhelmed and tell me that they can only do their work in the evening because they spend their whole day answering questions, that needs to stop. Instead of believing that I need to be constantly available to be supportive, start believing I support my team best by being intentional with my time and attention. And here is the last one that I will give you. Again, creating awareness. I need to move fast to show momentum. A lot of people think they need to move fast on everything. So I want to challenge that. Instead of thinking I need to move fast to show momentum, I want you to think I create momentum by choosing the right priorities. That is so good. I create momentum by choosing the right priorities. And this will change your meetings, your email behavior, how you interact with your team. So I would love for you to download the resource because there are 15 others. In short, I hope that this episode has given you food for thought when it comes to taking on bigger scope, more responsibility, bigger job, and things that I see people believing that I want you to shift. So if that is you, instead of taking action this week, if you are in a new role right now, or if maybe even if you've been in a new role for a while, just notice, first of all, download my guide, and then just notice which belief or beliefs are you operating from. So just awareness. There's no need to judge yourself. It's food for thought. But I guarantee you when those shifts, when those beliefs start shifting and your self-concept about you doing that very senior level job, when that shifts, your impact, your effectiveness, and how you influence the business will change in ways that you can't even imagine. Thanks for listening this week, and we'll see you soon.